2024 NBA draft is less than a month away, and we're going to be talking a little bit about what the Atlanta Hawks can do to kickstart their rebuild. If you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 4,000, and if we could hit that somehow by the end of today, that would be unbelievable, lads. And I have been obviously talking about this draft. I've been talking about like how I think Risa Shea should go number 1, especially if Atlanta keep the pick, but I'm trying to think of ways that Atlanta Hawks can really blow it up, because I think that's what the best thing they should do is. I think the best course of action for them is to blow it up. And that, for me, is what they should do. But a lot of people are like, how can they do that when they don't have their own picks? Trae Young. And they got to find a way to get those picks. And a lot of people are going to say, like, trade one for, like, a lot of their picks. And I don't think the Spurs are that crazy to do that. Like, I don't think the Spurs are that crazy about Alex Sarr. Like, I like Risa Shea. I think he'd be a big help for the Spurs. I don't think they're that crazy about him. I don't think the Spurs are going to trade either for, unless they trade for an 8 for 1, which I don't think they're going to do. Unless they become infatuated with a pick. I can't see them especially trading the future picks because of how good this 2025 draft is. But I think you might be able to get some 2025 later draft picks that maybe aren't going to be your top 5 picks, but could be lottery picks in the draft, as well as still getting what you want. Because obviously the Atlanta Hawks, anyone who's like dead set on Alex Sarr, you want an athletic big who will dunk, catch lobs, and block shots. You can get that at number 8 or at number 9. So obviously the first thing they should do is Trae Young for their picks. Like nothing else. Trae Young, Keldon Johnson, and 2 of their picks. And who knows, like maybe Trae Young and just give up something. Give up another. I'm trying to think of just an asset that they have. Obviously, you're not giving up Hunter. You're not giving up Jalen Johnson. You're not giving up a lot of these players. But just Trae Young something for Keldon Johnson and even 2 of their 3 picks back. They're 2 more recent picks so they can have a short rebuild. So that's their picks that are going to be back. But then, if you can somehow pull off that trade, great. But then you've got the number 1 pick. And for me, I'm looking for a team that's desperate. I don't think a lot of teams are going to trade up for number 1, but I think there is one team that is desperate for a big, and that team is the Memphis Grizzlies. So if you're looking to trade down, I don't think anyone from 1 to 8 will trade up for number 1. I don't think anyone is that set on Alex Sarr. I'm not going to lie. I just genuinely don't. And like, again, I think he's fool's gold. But for me, I'm not joking. Like, there are NBA executives that think that Kel'el Ware is a better prospect than Alex Sarr. He's going to be there at 9. No, there's no way someone's taking Kel'el Ware above 9. And like, I've already made the video saying that he should be like, he's going to be elite. Like, I think he's a better player than Donovan Clingan. I think he's better than Clingan. And for me, I think that Memphis are going to be desperate enough to trade up to 1. You could probably get 8 and a stash of 2 or 3 firsts from Memphis. Or 9 and a stash of 2 or 3 firsts from Memphis for the 1 pick. Because they didn't want a big. And I can see why teams might become infatuated with Alex Sarr. So you got to just hope that they become infatuated with this player. Which can happen. Which can definitely happen. So, we've seen that the best way to go about rebuilding, we've seen what it is from OKC, we've seen it from a lot of these teams, is to accumulate as many first-round picks as possible. Not do what the Sixers did and tank with your own pick every single year, but accumulate as many as possible, and eventually you're going to hit on some and hope that you draft well. It is probably the best way to do the rebuild. So go and trade and get a whole bunch of picks. Do what Utah have done. Go and trade DeJounte. You can get 2 first rounds for DeJounte from someone. If you're blowing it up, you can trade DeJounte. Keep Jalen Johnson at all costs. And go and get your big of the future. Go get your big of the future. Heck, Bogdanovic. Go trade Bogdanovic. You can get a first off a contending team for Bogdanovic, probably. So you go and you trade, and suddenly you're looking at a team with a good young core. If you want some vets, if you don't want to absolutely tank next year, pay some vets. Pay some vets on some short-term deals. Pay them on these like 1-year deals, like your JJ Redick type deal. Because you obviously might have to pay money somewhere. And just break it up. Just break it up entirely. Tank for 2 years. If you have your own picks, especially if you go and get a top 5 pick next year, there's like Traore, Gonzalez, Ace Bailey, Cooper Flag. Like, next year's draft looks absolutely elite. It looks incredibly good next year. So go and make sure you get your pick back for next year. Heck, even if giving up Trae Young is for like Keldon Johnson, your pick next year. To be fair, I was saying 2 of the 3 picks. Yeah, that's fine. Even if 4 years down the line, or whatever the latest pick is that you've given to San Antonio, not the end of the world. The DeJounte experiment just didn't work. But if you can blow it up, and you can somehow end up with your picks back, 3 to 4 other first-round picks, and a player that is, at worst case scenario, almost an equivalent to Alex Sarr in Kel'el Ware, you're fine. And the fact that you can do all that while still getting a really high upside, really high draft pick level player, and there's not this infatuation with drafting Alex Sarr to back up Onyeka Okongwu and Clint Capella. Heck, Clint Capella's in the last year of his contract. You're not going to get much for him. Just get off him. Honestly, just get off him. You can break it down. You can break it down if you hire the right coach, if you do the right things as far as like the decisions you make as a franchise. It's the blueprint. It's the OKC blueprint. You bring in a 1-year vet. You bring in a vet on a big contract for a year to just help out your young players. Not someone that's really going to do much on the court, but just somebody that's going to be that leader for those young players. Like CP3 was to Shea. I know they were a little bit better than they should have been then, but they really blew it up after that. You just do that. You do that. Like, you can't just go with all young players because the players won't learn. You go and pay for a vet for a year to effectively be a mentor. You completely blow it up, and you get your own picks and a few extra picks there in future years. And with the young talent of like Ware, Jalen Johnson, Hunter's still there, and whatever they end up getting in their future drafts, if they go and get a guard, if they're able to get a guard like in 2025, if they're able to get, I don't know, even a Cooper Flag and play him at the 4, if they're able to get these players, they're like, suddenly in 5 years' time, they're one piece away from being good again. Because right now, they're in the Chicago Bulls territory of there is no changes. There is literally, if they don't blow it up, there's nobody they can bring in that will make them win more than 45 games. They've already hit their ceiling. That 2021 Eastern Conference Finals run is going to be the ceiling for this team. And they've just got to realize that and find out a way to blow it up. So I think all their assets can be used to get future firsts, bring their own picks back, and also the fact that they can use that 1 pick to trade down, get a player of similar value, and get a huge haul more than likely, because there is a very desperate team who very desperately need a big, and I don't see them holding out for a Ware. I don't see them holding out and drafting Zach Edey there. I think they're going to pray Donovan Cling is there at 9, who's not going to be there at 9. And I think the Memphis Grizzlies are going to be desperate. So, yeah, that is pretty much it, lads. That is the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.